Hi, I'm Donald McIntyre, founder of Etherplan. I research, write articles, and podcasts about Ethereum Classic, Bitcoin, and decentralized applications. This series is Getting Started with Ethereum Classic. Section Improvement Process. I'm going to read the article Why Ethereum Classic Needs a Single and Unified Improvement Proposal Process. This is episode 36 of 50. Why Ethereum Classic needs a single and unified improvement proposal process. As Bitcoin's Bitcoin Improvement Proposal (BIP) process and Ethereum's Ethereum Improvement Proposal (EIP) process, Ethereum Classic also has an improvement proposal process called the Ethereum Classic Improvement Proposal (ECIP) process. The reason why all sound and secure public blockchains, or at least those who claim to be so, have unified improvement processes was stated by Satoshi Nakamoto himself. Quote, I don't believe a second compatible implementation of Bitcoin will ever be a good idea. So much of the design depends on all nodes getting exactly identical results in lockstep that a second implementation would be a menace to the network, unquote. Of course, Satoshi was responding to the idea of building a second implementation of the Bitcoin client, but the underlying philosophy of high coordination and alignment of the rule set is totally applicable to the process of making decisions to change the protocol as well. So much so that when Amir Taki realized this, he created the BIP process in 2011. Amir wrote, a BIP is a design document providing information to the Bitcoin community, describing a new feature for Bitcoin or its processes or environment, concise technical specification and rationale. We intend BIPs to be the primary mechanism for proposing new features. The keywords by Amir Taki above are concise, primary mechanism, community input, and author is responsible for building consensus. What I am referring to here is that the improvement proposal process in any public blockchain has the same hazards and risks as implementing a new client, as Satoshi warned. As an illustration of this, I will rewrite Satoshi's phrase, but rewording it to adapt it to refer to the improvement proposal process. Quote, I don't believe a second compatible improvement proposal process of Bitcoin will ever be a good idea. So much of the design depends on all clients being built based on the same identical rule set and getting exactly identical results in lockstep that a second improvement proposal process would be a menace to the network, unquote. In the case of Ethereum EIP process description, which follows the example of the BIP process, they took the work of specifying the various and complex steps in more detail, which I think shows that any deviations or alternative channels only risk distracting from what should be the focal point of what the actual technical changes and an ensuing functional debate should be. Needless to say is that with the amount of steps and focus the ecosystem needs to concentrate and coordinate for sensitive protocol changes, it is entirely plausible that malicious players could use alternative channels and the fragmentation, confusion, and mental cost they create to introduce underside changes and increase the chances of splitting the network. Attacks using this strategy of fragmentation have been attempted before, some successful and some not, including Bitcoin Unlimited, Bitcoin XT, Bitcoin Classic, BCH, and BSV. Note that the great majority of these attacks on Bitcoin were done by who were once trusted and friendly community constituents. The above is true even in the malicious even if the malicious players' intentions were only to capture the development process without necessarily the intent of splitting or undermining the network itself. In the case of Ethereum Classic's ECIP, it is practically identical to that of Ethereum, and by extension, that of Bitcoin, therefore pursues the same objectives. As it can be seen above, the ECIP process of Ethereum Classic is practically identical to that of Ethereum, and it even has the relevant Ethereum EIPs as part of its base code implementation and changes. It is important to note as well that the ECIP process in ETC is not a centralization device, as some confuse or try to confuse the community about. That is a fallacious argument, as saying that prompt coordination of core developer teams to fix emergency bugs are a centralization point in blockchain networks. What people who argue the above don't understand or don't want to understand is that the incentives that drive developers, miners, and node operators to participate in a blockchain network following its decentralization rules are the same incentives that drive them to fix any bugs or solve any emergencies that may undermine such decentralization. Therefore, blockchain developers swiftly coordinating to solve catastrophic bugs or fix network failures does not mean centralization. In fact, it means the opposite, a strong incentive to continue enforcing decentralization rules. Exactly the same logic applies to the BIP, EIP, and ECIP processes. A bait ball is a group of fish who instinctively swim to the center of the school to minimize their exposure to predators. The resulting ball seems like a top-down designed device. However, each is acting individually and selfishly in a decentralized manner, but they seem like a coordinated group, even if there's no centralized authority nor top-down leadership. Finally, the ECIP process is not the only structured and rigid method there is in the decision-making process in ETC. The larger process is much broader and may start a long time before any improvement proposal is even written. This shows how open the general process is and even gives all participants, technical or not, the chance to contribute and debate. As Luke Dash Jr. explained, the BIP document, the ECIP document in the case of ETC, is in practice the third step in the decision-making process for changes in the protocol. Conclusion. Blockchains are decentralized systems that consist of nodes achieving consensus on the exact same identical rule sets at very frequent intervals on a global scale. The fact that they have to achieve this exact same conclusion does not mean centralization. To the contrary, this emergent bottoms-up consensus mechanism is absolutely decentralized. Each participant voluntarily contributes and accepts the results, and this is called rough consensus. In the same manner, any improvement proposal process of any highly secure blockchain in general, and the ECIP process in Ethereum Classic in particular, must be a single and unified process to minimize misinterpretations, security holes, errors, and even potential attacks. Thank you very much.